69 South.
69 South.
69 South.
Welcome everyone to Podcast 69 South, where we cuss and discuss true crime, cold cases, current events, and hot topics, along with our state of society today. This is your trigger warning. Our podcast content is produced for adult listeners 18 years of age and older. We discuss situations that may be offensive and triggering to some listeners. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Welcome everybody to the Daily on 69 South podcast. I'm your host today, Chop, and with me is my always beautiful co-host, Julie.
Hello, everybody.
Today we're going to recap on what happened in the Delphi murders case against Richard Allen. And we're going to talk a little bit about our feelings and thoughts about his guilt or innocence, and a little bit about Nancy Grace's opinion too.
I hate her.
I kind of do too, really.
Her mouth. And you know what? Allegedly, I mean, in my own opinion, I think that bitch is drunk every night she's on TV because her eyes are so bloodshot, I swear.
I'm not lying.
If y'all come across Nancy Grace, I think she's got like a crime show at night or that's on TV or YouTube or something. But go and just, I know you can't listen to her that long, maybe like 2 seconds, because her mouth just makes you want to smack the hell out of her.
She does look fucked up.
But she looks drunk.
She looks trashed.
Night. And her, you know what she did one time? She, a mother had gotten in an accident or something with her baby, or I think they were sleeping together and she rolled over on her baby, and she made this. She like scolded or scorned her online and everything, and just trashed this poor woman. Like losing her kid wasn't enough, that this woman committed suicide because of Nancy Grace.
That's fucked up. You know, some of her opinions about cases I agree with. Like the Ellen Greenberg case, I mean, she's spot on with that dude. It's like, honestly, she thinks everybody's guilty as fuck. No,
I was getting ready to say
that's literally what she thinks. I mean, she dogged the fuck out of Alex Murdaugh. I mean, and she dogged the fuck out of Richard Allen. And I don't know, man. There's just a lot of shit when we thoroughly go through these cases that, to me, I see a lot of, shit that makes me think they're innocent. But enough about her.
Yeah. Well, one more thing. She was like, since we're going to do the Richard Allen trial update today, I seen her, she come out of the courtroom and jumped on there and was like, the things I seen in this courtroom today, he is not insane. He knows exactly what he's doing.
The dude was eating his own shit, man.
He had a mental psychotic break. I mean, what would you do if you was confined in a prison for 13 months for committing murder on 2 girls?
I'd be doing some weird shit, but I don't think I'd be eating my own poop.
No.
It's kind of fucked up. But, I mean, you don't go from being a manager at CVS to eating your own shit. They tortured the fuck out of this dude. Yeah,
and in trial today, they were talking about inmate companions. So I guess he had to have a dude, an inmate, not a worker of the prison, but he had to have an inmate sit outside his cell and make sure he didn't commit suicide. Does that make any sense to you?
No, I bet they was taunting the fuck out of him. I mean, you're going to put another...
Oh, they were calling him a baby killer and...
A bitch-ass dude.
Saying that he should kill himself.
They're probably spitting in his food and shit. I mean, I watch a lot of them prison shows, and I've known a lot of people that's been in prison, and you don't want to be a child killer or a rapist in there, because they'll fuck you up.
And by all means, people who are guilty of raping children and hurting children and murdering, they should get the worst of anything in my book. But when there's a real strong question of if they did it or not, I mean, I just don't see this man turning from How old is he? 50 now? Was he 50?
He was 47, I believe, when they charged him.
Okay, I don't see a 47-year-old man with a bad heart that's a manager at CVS who's never been in any kind of trouble in his life just going to committing murders. It doesn't make sense.
And I'll tell you what, I'll be the first person in the world to get on our episode if they find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt and, yada, yada, yada. But as of this moment, my opinion is I really don't think the dude did it.
There's a lot of people who are like, I kind of was convinced because they said they had this evidence in his confessions. I was completely convinced he did it. But a lot of people are really turning the page on that, and they're like, oh, I'm not so convinced now that the trial started. There's this lady on X that I follow, and her name's Andrea Burkhart, and yesterday she had posted, "Today has been a turning point for me in the fight to reveal to the world what horror is unfolding in the Carroll County Circuit Court in the trial of Richard Allen. I have never been more convinced of how important it is for this case to be seen and witnessed. There's legal work I need to finish, so I might be absent for a bit while I work on taking the fight for transparency to the next level." And I believe that's a media person that's in the courtroom taking notes so she can report back to us what's happening every day.
Boy, if I didn't have to go out here and swing a hammer every day, I swear I'd be up here in Delphi camping out. I want to go see that shit. I wish it was televised so bad.
It should have been televised. Also, a person fell asleep in the courtroom
one of the
other
girls'
day.
relatives, wasn't it?
I believe it was one of Libby's relatives. And at the end of the day, Judge Gold scolded people for sleeping in the courtroom. And she said, I don't conduct court in your bedroom. I would appreciate you not sleeping in my courtroom. Court is recessed for lunch.
It makes you wonder. I mean, this is one of the girls' family members that reportedly fell asleep in the courtroom. Are they that bored with the shit? I mean, that's going on at trial. I wonder what they're thinking about Richard Allen.
Today, they had a psychologist from the Westville Correctional Facility testifying today, and this was the lady that he seen and talked to, and I guess that he confessed to her that he murdered the girls, and this was on May 3rd of 2023, and he said that he was he did something with the gun, and then he was going to take the girls and sexually assault them, but a van scared him.
A van? Where in the hell was a van at? They was way down in a holler in Deer Creek.
That's what it doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense at all.
Where was the van at that scared him? And if he was too scared to sexually assault them, he's going to murder them and then clean up the crime scene and then undress one and then dress the other and then throw sticks all over their body.
That shit's got me captivated.
I believe it was already in discovery, and that's how he already knew, or because they had brought him in to question him, and they could have been saying anything. They could have told him that the sticks were covering the body, and they could have said anything, which he don't know. I think he really confessed under
duress.
Plus, didn't they have him on Halidol?
They had him on all kinds of shit, all kind of psychotic drugs.
What does that do?
It's basically given to people that have a chemical imbalance in their brain. And what it does is it's supposed to fix a chemical imbalance, but it'll drag you down. I mean, it'll make you tired AF, basically.
What does it do to people who don't have a chemical imbalance and they give it to them?
Shit, I don't know, but I really don't want to find out.
So Judge Gall denied the defense the opportunity to present the alternate theory about the Odinism in the way the sticks were placed on the girls' body. I guess it references some type of
It's like a
Odinist
cult.
religion, or
It's like a pagan type of cult.
well, I seen on Twitter or X, I don't know if it's 100% true, how Libby German's family feels about this, but Libby German's grandmother was the one who brought up Brad Holder and his ties to Odinism, and told the police about it.
Basically, when you look up the term Odinism, it is a term for heathenry, a modern pagan religion typically used by those who hold to folkish or race-centric ideologies. Heathenry. I wonder if that's like being a heathen, like heathenry.
You ever seen a heathen tattoo?
Yeah, I know a dude with a tattoo, heathen, right on his forehead. I love him, though. I'm not so sure I believe the Odinism thing, though, really, because that's like a group of people. And I think if there was a group of people down there, I really believe that there would have been more eyewitnesses to this group of bloody individuals that just slaughtered these two poor baby girls.
I don't see why or how sacrificing two young girls would do anything for them.
I think it's going to come out either that it was other jealous teenagers that lured him down there in some kind of a weird teenage bullshit thing, or it was some fucking weirdo, some weird ass dude
that just happened to be out there that day, or that was following them on Snapchat. I think I think some of this has related to that Keegan Kline guy who got tried with all that child porn stuff.
I can't lie, he looks mighty suspicious. And if you don't know who we're talking about, Keegan Kline was a 29-year-old man, and he pleaded guilty to 25 charges, including child exploitation, possession of child porn, obstruction of justice. And according to the court records, police found countless pieces of child porn on his electronics. They found thousands of messages that he was trying to catfish young girls, including Libby and Abby, with a persona of a profile from a young, good-looking model type dude named Anthony Schatz. Now, I mean, this dude was busted talking to these two girls. He's got busted with trying to catfish girls, child pornography on his shit, and I just don't understand why they didn't look into him deeper. That something there is missing. I don't understand that whole ordeal.
The only way that he could be linked is if he was texting Libby's phone. I don't think Abby had a phone yet, but Libby had a cell phone. So, and they were on Snapchat, and you know how dangerous that is for young kids. Snapchat is not a social media app that I will ever let my children have.
No, and I agree 100%. And folks, if you have teenage children, man, just be aware and be very vigilant about what your kids are doing on the phones. Anyway, there's so much to get to in that. We're going to be taking that day by day and filling you in every day. We want to move on to an Indiana sheriff. Have you guys ever watched 60 Days In? If you have, you've probably seen the first series of this. I like that show. I liked watching it. But the first sheriff in 60 Days In, named Jamie Noel, he was just convicted in a big case. He was convicted of theft, money laundering, corrupt business influence, official misconduct, and obstruction of justice and tax evasion.
Did I say 27 charges? Yes, 27 felony charges. And he was using millions of taxpayer dollars from the Utica Volunteer Firefighters Association and New Chapel EMS to buy cars, planes, vacations, clothing, and other luxury items. He also paid one of his kids' college tuition and child support.
Damn.
Now, he also tasked county employees with jobs related to his personal classic car collection.
This dude had a badass car collection. I mean, I would kill for some of these cars. He had 40 plus classic badass cars, including two 1970 Plymouth Superbirds. I personally have never even seen a Superbird in person. I've seen a bunch of them on TV. I think I even had a little, the little
toy car.
Yeah, a Superbird Hot Wheel, but I never had a real one. He has fucking two 1950 or 1959 Corvette, a 1966, and a 1968 Charger. He donated $33,000 to Republican candidates between 20 and 23.
He was also he was a higher Republican official in the state of Indiana. I think he was over like a congressional district in the state. So he was donating all this money to these Republican candidates to help with their campaigns. But before he got arrested, he had the most pristine reputation.
If you watch 60 Days In and you watch his persona, man, you wouldn't imagine that shit was going on behind closed doors. Now, his wife, Misty, and daughter, Casey, they were also charged with theft and tax evasion.
Soon to be ex-wife, because he cheated on her and had that baby with another council person. But the only reason that she was mainly charged is because she filed tax returns with him. That's what a lot of her case is because she filed tax returns with him. But he also gave her a credit card that she was using, and she spent $2.8 million from 2018 to 2023 on these fire department credit cards.
Damn, Sheriff Noel was balling.
As well as his daughter, he gave her credit cards, and she spent like $600,000. But I don't necessarily know if they knew that they were fire department
funds, right?
Right. So they might have a good chance of beating it if they had no idea. If my dad hands me, if he had handed me when he was alive a credit card when I was younger and been like, oh, here, use this whenever you need it, I wouldn't assume that it was from a business that wasn't his. But anyway, now other people could be facing additional charges. The Clark County Councilperson John Miller and former Clark County Councilperson Brittany Ferry, they were charged with misconduct of some sort because they voted in favor of funding appropriations for the fire and EMS service that Jamie was over, and they received personal benefits paid by service funds. So that's why they're looking at some time as well. And Jamie, he pleaded guilty and he got 12 years in prison.
Well, you would have think pleading guilty, man, he would have took a plea and pleaded guilty. Maybe if they dropped the charges on his wife and daughter and shit.
What do you think made him do that?
I bet it started out, maybe he figured out a way to hustle just a little bit at a time, and it just grew and grew and grew out of control, really.
Well, he is also in trouble because he took $900,000 out of the jail commissary accounts. The inmate commissary accounts. He funneled off $900,000. It could have started there, but
them dudes wasn't getting their noodles. They was getting pissed off.
So that is the update for Jamie Noel. Since we live in Indiana, I just wanted to cover that. It's not often you hear of an Indiana sheriff being charged in some crazy stuff like that. I think we need to do a deep dive and do an episode into, how did he get caught? I don't know those answers to those questions yet, but I would like to know.
If y'all get a chance, go back and watch that first season of 60 Days In and check old Jamie Noel out and see what you think.
Right. And then now for the YSL trial update, we had a plea deal today of Quay Marvius Nichols. He got 20 years due 7. He could have went home immediately if he had testified against the other defendants, and he said, hell no, I'm not doing that.
That ain't thug life testifying. Shit.
You know, in this plea deal, they wanted to get these people so bad. They even dismissed a murder charge against this dude.
And the messed up thing about it is the charges that he's going to do the time for on this RICO case that they just convicted him on in this plea deal, he has already been convicted of and already done his time on these charges.
They used his guilty pleas against him from whenever he got caught and wrapped him up in this RICO case because he was associated with YSL.
That just doesn't even make sense to me. I don't see how they can do that. The dude was already convicted and done his time for the 2 drug charges that he was convicted on. But now they're charging him with the RICO status on just those 2 charges that he already did his time for. And now he's got to do what? How many more years?
Well, he's been incarcerated for 3.5 years. He's eligible for parole in 9 months.
Eligible, though. That don't mean shit.
That don't guarantee. So he's been in there for 3.5 years, due 7.
Wow.
This case is crazy from the inside out. It's all about Benny Willis getting these guilty pleas. She's just so disgusting.
You could see Quay's lawyer today on the stand when they was working this plea deal out, man. He was literally in tears. He was so upset. But he did make the prosecution basically admit that there was no violent crimes whatsoever that he was tied to. And they did drop the murder charge, like you said.
Yeah, they tried to slide in there in their factual basis on his guilty plea that, he had violence and done this violence and that violence. But Bruce Harvey came up and said, we categorically deny any type of violence in the factual basis. And the judge let them do that because the only things that had tied him to this RICO case were the 2 drug charges that he had in the past and already did his time for.
I wonder what was going through young Thug's mind with his buddies taking pleas and shit like that. He can't be too mad at him because they're not testifying against him. But I wonder if that makes the RICO case, like, is it going to be easier for them to convict young Thug on because they're convicting his associates through the RICO shit? You know what I mean?
I think that young Thug is going to beat this case with Brian Steele by his side.
I hope he does, and I hope he gets out and puts better lyrics to his good beats, though. He does have good beats.
Yeah.
His lyrics just suck. Just kidding, young Thug. Anyway, we're going to move on from the YSL trial. We'll keep you updated tomorrow on the daily. Right now, we're going to take you to
Halifax, Canada.
We got a good Walmart story here.
So on October 19th, about 9:30 p.m., a Walmart employee calls 911 and reported a sudden death at the Walmart store. Now, a female was found deceased in a large walk-in bakery oven. She was 19 years old, and she had worked at the Walmart with her mother for about 2 years. Well, they were working together that night, and her mom couldn't find her for about an hour and went around looking for her and found her in the oven, I guess. Why she would look in the oven, I don't know.
You know, I when we started looking at this story, I wasn't aware that they have big, large walk-in ovens. But if you think about it, like the Walmart here in Martinsville, Indiana, they have a huge deli, so they're probably baking all that bread and shit. Mm-hmm. But you wouldn't think it'd be a walk-in oven. That's crazy.
I've never heard of a walk-in oven either. And there are safety
latches to get out
inside to
just
get
like
out.
They are a freezer.
Like, you can't lock your own self in one of these bakery ovens. So the cause of death is being kept under wraps. An autopsy found external injuries, and reports are saying that the oven was unlocked. And then there's also evidence pointing to her boyfriend and best friend. So that's what's going on there. I just thought it was an interesting story to bring to y'all.
I wonder what they mean by the oven was unlocked. I mean, it should stay unlocked. If there's a safety, what they mean by the safety latch from the inside, if you've ever been to a walk-in cooler, they have that round button that you can push and it opens the door so people don't get locked in the coolers.
Well, you know me, I was nosy and wanted to know what was on the inside of this. So I pulled it up and I was watching Walmart employees explain this. And what it looks like is like a little, like a push, like a push lever on the inside. That's what it looked like. I don't think she could have been locked in there.
So obviously she must have been unconscious when they put her in there because she would have hit the freaking safety latch to get the fuck out of there.
Absolutely.
We're going to keep on that case too because I want to dig into that. And as that moves forward and they get more evidence and hopefully somebody's charged with that, we're going to keep you informed on that. That's interesting as shit.
Okay. And I have one more story I came across, and there are no criminal charges in it yet, but I feel like it's really going to go somewhere. And I feel like some elected officials are going to get in some type of trouble for this. Now, what is one of our favorite places that we love to go?
Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Yes. So down in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, I came across this story of this lady, and her name is Micah Race, and she's from Ohio, and she bought this investment property for her family. And they bought the property, closed on it. They immediately started remodeling it so they could Airbnb it out. And this was supposed to be her family's legacy for her grandchildren to collect revenue from this long after they're gone. Well, the day that they put the last nail in the deck, the neighbor was watching them, and she's come over and was talking to him, and she said, "You guys don't know, do you?" And Micah was like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "This house is going to be demolished for the West Side Connector by the city of Pigeon Forge for eminent domain." So the city of Pigeon Forge was going to take their property that they just completely redid. Well, she got a hold of city council because she wanted to find out what was going on. And she talked to the mayor, and he called her back and said that he felt horrible and that he watched her family work for the past 7 months to completely remodel the home, and that he felt really bad about what was happening. Well, he had already voted to condemn the property, and he knew that it was going to be tore down.
What a piece of shit. He watched him for 7 months.
Yeah, he watched him for 7 months do this. So initially they were like, well, why was this house even put on the market to be sold if the West Side Connector was going to come through here? You know, it would have been flagged by the city of Pigeon Forge to not be sold. Well, they learned that there was this campground that the road was supposed to go through initially, and the plans had changed to where the road now went around the campground through her property.
And shocker, the person who is developing the campground is the
mayor of Pigeon Forge, David Weir. He has a financial interest in the campground, and he's changed the original voting plans that were going to run through the campground that was undeveloped at this time, because it would have cost them millions of dollars and his campground would have been ruined. And this woman is taking this all the way. She said, "I don't care. I'm taking it to the Department of Justice, the FBI." She said, "I'll go all the way to the Supreme Court if I have to." And she's calling on him to resign right now. And she's posting it all over Facebook and everything. And they kind of did her dirty because
Kinda. They did her real dirty, and I don't blame her. And I hate to see anything bad in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge because I absolutely love it down there. That's one of our spots in the Smoky Mountains. But damn, man, you talk about using your political position for personal gain. That's the epitome of it right there. That's criminal.
yeah, and the best kicker of all in this story, I couldn't believe it. They have torn down the house, condemned it, not paid them one penny, and the house is still in their name and they're still paying the mortgage on it after it's been torn down for months because they refused their offer. And we're like, no, we don't want to sell. We don't want to be a part of this transaction. They're like, oh, well, the city has to have that because eminent domain is where the people or the public government take your property for public use. So the mayor said that they needed to put the road through her property instead of his own.
It's a good thing she's a woman of God, and you guys can look her up and look at her story, man, and kind of advocate for her because she's a preacher.
I forgot all about that. Yes, she's a preacher. And they did this investment because Pigeon Forge has 15,000 lodging units in the city. Now, the planning director of the town, David Taylor, said he is looking at a 15% increase in nightly units available, meaning they need 15% more nightly rentals available to accommodate all the people who are coming in to Pigeon Forge. They didn't have enough room for all these people. So she was like, she researched it all, and that's why they bought this. And plus, her property that she had was zoned commercial. She could have put a boutique, a gas station, anything like that. In 10 years, her property value would have been skyrocketing because of how the city's growing.
That's a horrible, sad story, man.
But she's taking it everywhere she needs to go, and I just hope they win.
I do too. Dolly Parton, if you're out there listening, man, you ought to get on this girl's side and have her back. I do. I love it down there, man. If you do not believe in God, go down there and look at the Smoky Mountains off one of them big cabins and look at the sunrise and the sunset, man, and you will see.
I know, and that's what makes it so weary because we wanted to buy property down there and Airbnb it out because it's so lovely and so nice down there.
I'd be happy with a 10-foot by 10-foot piece of the mountain. I could put up a tent. Shit, it's so beautiful down there.
I could just stay down there forever.
Me too. But hey, that's going to be it for the Daily today. Join us tomorrow where we're going to update you more on the Richard Allen case, the YSL case, and more interesting shit that we find. But until then, have a good day, good evening, whatever.